Hello fellow mutants, welcome back to another video. In this video we're going to talk about why Arrow killed off Laurel Lance in Season 4. I remember that, and I was like, oh god, they killing off Oliver's original love interest. And, I have to say, them killing Laurel off was probably one of the boldest decisions they made that tugged on the most heartstrings. And then they brought her back essentially by bringing a Earth 2 version of her, which was this bad guy that was later reformed. And it's like, really? And that's probably because I got my father into watching Arrow, and both me and him were saying they probably had some backlash for killing Laurel off. So their best bet was to bring Earth 2 Laurel, which was Black Siren at the time, into the mix. Who Earth 2 Laurel began as Black Siren. Then she later became Black Canary. So took on Earth 1's Laurel, or Earth Prime's Laurel's Black Canary mantle. So that said, my point is Laurel's death was wow, it was really bold, and then it was kind of weakened, and what the hell when they brought in Earth to Laurel, okay. Anyways, let's read. Why Arrow killed off Laurel's Lance in Season 4. Laurel Lance, aka Black Canary, was killed off during Arrow's Season 4, but it wasn't the end for the actor Katie Cassidy. Arrow Season 1 introduced viewers to Laurel Lance, the former girlfriend of Oliver Queen, who was played by Stephen Amell, who reconciles with a billionaire playboy following 5 years sent on the mysterious island on Lian. In Season 3, Laurel follows in her deceased sister's footsteps and becomes a vigilante in her own right, known as Black Canary, as a move that eventually strengthens the bond between her and Queen. Arrow Season 4, with a flash forward with Oliver Queen standing by a tombstone set 6 months in the future, viewers only knew that one of the main characters would die, and that this death wouldn't be undone by magic or time travel. Yeah, and I remember at first a lot of people, including myself, thought it was going to be Felicity Smoke who was going to die. Man, was I surprised. And it was one of those good surprises, I feel like. Because I think everybody thought it was going to be Felicity Smoke, and then they what's the term when they go against our expectations, refer to our expectations? That's the term. They refer to our expectations in a good way, so I liked it. That was a well played, comforting, going against our expectations in a way, if that makes sense. Anyways, eventually Arrow revealed it was Laurel who ended up on the grave. The sudden death sparked controversy, as it was a surprising decision to kill off Black Canary, given her major role in the comic book mythology. Cassidy is a well-known showrunner Cassidy, as well as showrunner Mark Graham and Wendy Miracle, explained why Laurel Lance was killed off. Arrow Season 4, Episode 18, 11:59. It revealed that Oliver Queen and Barry Allen had stood at Laurel's grave in the season's opening episode. During an attempt to stop Damien Dark, played by Neil McDonough, probably mispronounced his name, sorry, from escaping prison, Team Arrow found themselves once again powerless against the magical villain, with Laurel's eventually getting stabbed as a means of Dark to punish her father, who betrayed him. Despite being treated at the hospital and even expected to make a full recovery, Laurel lost her life moments later. This sudden death sparked controversy, as Black Canary has a major role in the DC comics, and Cassidy had only just scratched the surface. Cassidy was written out of Arrow initially because the creative team felt that they had run out of substantial stories for Laurel, despite the fact that her career as a Arrowverse Black Canary had only just begun. Arrow producers deviated from Laurel's DC comic roots as Queen's long-term love interest, and while her death in season 4 proved that Arrow did have stakes, as many characters had previously died and been resurrected, it was still a massive blow to the series. It's clear that Arrow's creative team much preferred to write for a different version of Laurel Lance. See, and to be fair, like, they did make Dino Lance Black Canary. Like, Black Canary's mantle, so like, as understanding as I am for the backlash that they could have always, and they did, put another person in the Black Canary mantra. I feel like Earth 1 Laurel could have, like, she still could have had stories to tell. I think there was stories to tell with her still. And they cut it too short. But that was definitely a shock. I think it was a good shock too. Like, I wasn't exactly as mad as like other people were, but I guess it's partially because like at the time I didn't really know much about the whole Green Arrow backstory and how Oliver and Laurel were like lifelong lovers. And I have to say that I kind of am happy as well that they introduced a new love interest for Oliver in the show, even though I believe it was that season. Or maybe season 5. It was one of the seasons. I believe it was season 4. Where Felicity was a hypocrite and an unnecessary asshole to Oliver. She later like apologized and took responsibility and got better. But there was one time when I hated Felicity because of what she did to Oliver. But point is, I'm happy that they went in a new direction with his love interest. And so I watched some people are gonna get mad at me for that. And I'm happy that they did that plot twist a bit, killing Laurel off, even though, like, I feel like they should have, like, potentially kept her alive. Or, like, at this point, like, Earth 2 was kind of established, so we could have potentially, like, took Laurel Lance to Earth 2 to get resurrected. Because the Arrowverse had this thing where they kill someone off only to bring them back. Sarah Lance, or the Lance's sisters, Oliver, Rory, Malcolm Merlin, and there's a few other characters, but if we're just isolating to Arrow, those are like 4 characters that come to mind at the moment. Anyways, Katie Cassidy returned to Arrow as a different Laurel Lance. Prior to airing on Arrow Season 4, Episode 18, the CW had announced that Cassidy would appear in the Arrowverse spin-off The Flash as a villainous doppelganger as Laurel Lance from Earth 2 known as Black Siren. Despite starting her Arrowverse career as a villain and a member of Zoom's metahuman army, this version of Laurel more closely resembled her DC counterparts, even exhibiting her metahuman sonic scream and experienced hand-to-hand fighting techniques. After Black Canary was scrapped from Arrow, Black Siren very quickly took her place, with Cassidy returning to the series regular for Arrow Season 6. This version eventually saw redemption as Black Canary in Season 7. How Laurel Lance impacts Arrow's later seasons. Although Laurel Lance's death in Arrow Season 4 allowed a more comic accurate version of the character take her place. It was confusing, a confusing choice by the series, as the Earth One version of Laurel could have evolved over time until this iteration, which I agree. There was still time for her. Like, I agree with that statement. I feel like they pulled the plug way too soon. Way too soon. And maybe it's like Black Simon would have killed Black Canary. Having a redemption arc from that, I don't know. I think I'm just reaching at this point. But my point is, Earth 1 Laurel, there are still stories and progression that could have been made. Anyways, killing off Laurel for shock value as part of the poorly organized and unplanned storyline turned out to be a textbook case for a furnishing killing of a female character to advance the story of the male lead. In this case, these leads were Oliver Queen and Quentin Lance, Laurel's father. I don't know why they had to bring gender into this, but okay. In fact, Laurel's death was simply used to allow Queen to reconnect with his previous partner, Felicity Smoke. And I know I was just saying too that I was kind of like happy that they kind of like used Felicity Smoke as Oliver's love interest essentially. But at the same time, they could have like had it where like Oliver and Laurel tried again. But then, like, Oliver realizes that he's not in love with Laurel anymore. Like, and you can say that he kind of knew that already, like, in previous seasons. But, like, season 4 could, like, or part 5 could, like, really be telling that if Oliver and Laurel did try to date again, that it could open Oliver's eyes that, yeah, I care about you a lot, Laurel, but I think I'm, like, in love with Felicity, and you deserve better from me. And maybe, like, there could be a whole arc there, and making Laurel a bit more ruthless for a while, but it comes to a realization that there's more to, like, she'll find her Mr. Right, and that Mr. Right isn't Oliver. I don't know. Or maybe, like, later on she could have died after they tried that, and then their last conversation could have been as how things were. I don't know. I feel like I'm reaching. I feel like I'm really reaching here. Anyways. During 2019's Arrowverse crossover event, Crisis on Infinite Earth, several characters for the multitude of series, including Arrow, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, and Supergirl, are resurrected, but the Earth 1 version of Laurel stayed dead. This was due to another planned spin-off, Green Arrow and the Canaries, wanting to use Earth 2 Laurel instead of the original. Unfortunately, the series never came to fruition. And I would have, before I finish, I would have loved to have seen a Green Arrow and the Canaries show. I would have. Again, sadly, never came to fruition. They did have a backdoor pilot with the 7th episode of last season. And I do hope that they have, this miniseries for the Green Arrow and the Canaries, because, they left, things wide open. So I think I do hope that they will bring the Green Arrows and the Canaries as a miniseries, an 8-part miniseries, whether it's live action or animated, or CGI, 8-part miniseries, to wrap things up. If that makes sense. Anyways. Wild Cassidy's performance as Black Siren gave audiences an evolved version of Laurel Lance. Killing of Black Canary during Arrow Season 4 was one of the series' biggest mistakes. See, I'm kind of on one hand, I can kind of see where they're coming from, it being one of the biggest mistakes, but although at the same time, I'm saying I can agree because, like I said, I agree. There was more things to with our Laurel than they could have gave, like done with Earth One Laurel. But I don't know. I'm kind of conflicted on how I feel right now. Because on one hand, I'm saying, yeah, I agree, it's one of the biggest mistakes. But on the other part, I'm saying, I like that plot twist that they had. So I don't know. I'm conflicted, y'all. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section down below. Love you guys. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful day. Be kind to one another. And we'll talk to you guys later.